So this is my favorite, one of my favorite topics because ever since I was a little kid, I was obsessed with radiation. Because what did I used to do as a little kid? Read comic books. I used to read Fantastic Four. And how did Fantastic Four become the Fantastic Four? Radiation. Spider-Man. How did he become Spider-Man? Radioactive spider. What about the Incredible Hulk? Gamma radiation. What about Thor? No, he was born. He was a god. Yeah, he was a god. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for all the superheroes. It just works for some of the superheroes. But what is radiation? Let me explain to you using Westland as an example. Okay, so Westland, you're a junior, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Westland, you haven't noticed this, but constant flirting going on with Judy here, and so Uni. So Westland, in about a week, is going to develop enough courage to ask Uni to the prom. And she's going to say yes because she kind of thinks he's kind of cute with all the hair just kind of, on top. So he's a cute guy. So she says yes. So they decide to double date with Deo and his girlfriend's name. We'll just call her whatever. We'll call her Miguelita. There we go. That's it. All right. So they're going to go because his dad does not allow him to drive at night. He's going to have to go with Deo. So Deo is driving with Miguelita and Westland. So Westland is suited up. He's in a tuxedo. He walks up to the door, knocks on the door, and there is going to be Uni's dad, polishing his shotgun just to kind of let Westland know that, he will introduce him to his shotgun if he hurts Uni in any way. So here comes Uni, and Westland, she is drop dead gorgeous, beautiful dress, and here you're about to put the corsage on her wrist because it's strapless, and you can't, you just don't do that. So you're putting the corsage on his on her wrist, and then you go like this. Oh, you feel this intense pain inside. I mean, it is incapacitating. He's groaning. He's doubled over in pain. And then there's a bright light. Something wet and sticky hits Dale on the face. Once his eyes clear up, he looks and there's like a piece of flesh, bloody piece of flesh on his hand. So he throws the piece of flesh away and he wipes his hand on his girlfriend's dress because it was disgusting. And then everyone's eyes go toward Westland, and Westland is not there. And staring at everyone who is staring at her is this Asian looking girl. And Uni goes, Westland? And the girl says, Hui. Westland? No, Hui. In this very large tuxedo that, she's flopping around in. And wow, I mean, Uni gets really upset, bursts into tears, slams the door, and runs back into her. I guess she is not willing to go to the prom with Hui. So Hui turns around and she goes on to the prom with Deo and Miguelita. Okay, there. Okay, so thank you, Dale. There, Maximus has decided to go to the prom. He has decided to go to the prom. He's just going to go by himself, and he's there. He's dancing, and lo and behold, here comes Hui in the big giant tuxedo. But wow. Maximus is going, wow. Oh my goodness, who is this girl? Who is this girl? So he goes over, asks Hui to dance, and it was love at first sight. Maximus dances with Way. Way dances with Maximus. I mean, they fall in love. They date all the way through high school, all the way through college. They decide to get married. Okay, Deo by this time is his best friend. He decides to ask Deo to be his best man. So here she is walking down the aisle, beautiful dress. And Maximus is there, proud of him. I mean, tears. She's so beautiful. Then all of a sudden, halfway down the aisle, with Westland's dad escorting her because there is no Westland anymore, there's just Hui. She doubles over in pain. Ah, bright light. Everyone is blinded. Deo gets smacked in the head by another piece of flesh. It's bloody. He's wiping it off. Then he's wiping it on the guy, the groomsman next to him, on his jacket because it's disgusting. Everyone's eyes clear, and um, there, Maximus looks up at a 6'4" African American man who is right now about ready to burst out of his wedding dress. And Maximus goes, Way? And the dude looks down at him and goes, Thomas. Way? Thomas. So now Maximus' eyes burst into tears and he walks away, and Dale's going, oh man. Okay. But Lacey is at the wedding and she goes, Thomas. So they hit it off I mean, your parents paid for this, the party. You might as well have a party, even though the wedding was called off. So she dances with Thomas, and yeah, it's love at first sight again. So they get married. They have a ton of kids. 50 years of marriage. 50 years of marriage. Their kids and their grandkids are there for a great big party. She's there. She's got a little bit of a shake to her hand. They're trying. Her and Thomas are trying to cut the cake, and then all of a sudden, oh, oh, the groaning, the light. Deo is there. He's an old geezer. He gets hit in the forehead once again, wipes it on his wife's dress. And when our eyes clear, not our, because I'll be dead by that time. When your eyes clear and there is this Latina woman staring at you, you go, Thomas? She goes, Tomasina. Thomas? Tomasina. She goes, you know what? Thomas spent all his time sitting around drinking beer. I think this might be an upgrade. So she decides to stay married. They've been married for 50 years. Now she just stays married to Thomasina because, there wasn't much going on anyway. And now you have an extra pair of hands to help you clean the house and take care of the grandkids. So that's the end of the story. That explains this whole chapter. All right. All right. So Are all atoms unchanging? Well, Austin's unchanging. 50 years from now, he's going to die at the ripe old age of 76, and it's going to be Austin. Okay, Genesis is unchanging. She will die at 82. Genesis, she dies Genesis. Okay, are all atoms unchanging? No. Westland is going to become many, many things. Maya is going to become this 6'3" white guy in about 4 years. Okay, some atoms do undergo changes, and when it does, it's going to give off pieces of itself. The bloody pieces that kept hitting Deo, it's going to give off pieces of itself, and the bright light that always accompanied the change, it's going to give off energy and pieces of itself. What is radioactive decay? When Westland actually changed into the Asian lady, he underwent radioactive decay. The process of one atom becoming something new is radioactive decay. Mhm. All right. So, how we are affected by nuclear radiation is dependent on what? The energy of the radiation. What is ionizing radiation? It is the highest energy. The highest energy. If you're ever roaming around a hospital, if you're ever roaming around a hospital and you, for some strange reason, want to go into a room that has this sign in it, don't. That is a sign telling you that that room emits ionizing radiation, such as X rays or gamma rays, or maybe even ultraviolet rays. How can it cause you damage? Like ionization energy, it can knock away electrons. Folks, an atom is an atom because it has a certain number of protons and electrons. If it loses an electron, it changes its personality. So you can change the personality of your atoms by exposing yourself to ionizing radiation. And you change the personality of some of the atoms, then the molecule's personality changes. and then your cells change, and then you've got troubles. So ionizing radiation affects you by changing your atoms. The EM spectrum is all the different types of lights that we encounter, but there are only a few lights that are ionizing. They are ultraviolet, which is what causes you to tan, gamma rays, which really you should not be exposed to other than just naturally from atoms that you might breathe in naturally that are radioactive. X-rays is something that you should only be exposed to because of medical examinations being done to you. And cosmic rays you're exposed to if you live up in very high places like Denver, or if you go on an airplane. The reason why pilots can only pilot so many hours in a week is because of their exposure to cosmic radiation. When they go up there, they're completely vulnerable to being hit with these cosmic rays. And so are their passengers, but how often will the passengers fly? You understand? So these pilots are flying all the time exposed to cosmic radiation. So the government restricts how often they can do that. What are examples of non-ionizing radiation? Well, the reason why you can see that paper clearly is because you're being hit with light radiation. So visible light is a type of radiation. When you go home and you switch on your TV, you will be using infrared radiation. This remote right here that controls the projector is infrared radiation. This remote uses radio light. That is also non-ionizing radiation. This is a form of radiation. And of course, one of your favorite gadgets in all the world is your cell phones, and they, of course, are going to transmit radiation and absorb radiation. So all that to say, do not be afraid of the word radiation. The vast amount of radiation is harmless to us. Sunlight, radio waves, TV waves, microwaves, infrared rays, all of that. A hot object is going to be giving off infrared radiation. It's not going to hurt you. So the vast amount of radiation is not harmful. What kind of radiation is harmful? Ionizing radiation. Ionizing radiation. What's an example? Well, you're going to have to get hit by something, sir. You're going to have to get hit by something. Either you get hit by a baseball traveling at 90 miles per hour or a bullet traveling at 90 miles per hour. Choose. Why? It's hard. A baseball is really hard and kind of big compared to that bullet. What? Well, you're getting shot by both things. One is a baseball, one is a bullet. Yeah, because the baseball is big, and when it hits you, it has a lot of the force spread out over a large area. It might do some damage, it might break some bones, but it's probably not going to penetrate your skin. Now, the bullet is coming in is much smaller. Okay, so that bullet also is going to be hitting you at a very precise point. Your skin simply cannot resist that much force. So your skin will part ways, your skin will separate, and that bullet will come on in. Okay, that is the difference between ionizing and non-ionizing radiation. The bullet is going to go on in. The baseball is not. So, is all radiation harmful and should be avoided at all costs? Have you been listening to me? The answer is no. I mean, you can't, even if you were to say, I give up on technology, I'm not going to use a cell phone, I'm not going to use a remote control, I'm not going to I'm going to go and hide somewhere where radio waves and TV waves can't hit me. Okay? Even then, you must also make sure that you do not expose yourself to the number one form of radiation in your life, and that is the sun. The sun. All right, so let me introduce you to alpha, beta, gamma, the three forms. Remember how he kept getting hit by things? This is what he got hit with. First of all, I'm going to introduce you to alpha particles. Okay, out of this disk are proceeding thousands and thousands of alpha particles per minute. Thousands. I'm going to bring it closer to uni. Closer, closer, closer. Okay. Two reasons why uni should not be concerned. Number one, they can only travel about a centimeter, maybe 2 centimeters away from this disk. So even though I'm aiming it at her, it's getting nowhere close. Number two, all of us have a layer of dead skin on every bit of skin that we have. So whenever you're touching somebody, you're not touching their living cells, you're touching their dead skin. These alpha particles can't even penetrate her dead skin layer. So this disc outside of her body cannot hurt her in any way. Uni, could you swallow this, please? No, you don't want to swallow it? Okay. So basically what's coming out of here are baseballs. Can't hurt you. How would you like to have a baseball loose inside your body? Is that going to do a lot of damage? Yeah. A moving baseball inside your body is going to do a lot of damage. This inside your body can do a lot of damage. Alpha particles. Automatic there. Okay, so think of in terms of Westland. Westland was americium. And then what happened to Westland? A piece of him flew off, hitting Deo in the face. And now we look at Westland, americium, and we see it's not americium anymore. It is Neptunian. This little chunk, which is 2 protons and 2 neutrons, is what we call alpha. Alpha. By the way, this is a form of balancing equation, but it's the easiest thing. What is 237 plus 4? 241. What is 93 plus 2? 95. As long as the top numbers and bottom numbers add up, you're fine. Now, this little piece of flesh that flew out and hit Dale that we call alpha is because it's made up of 2 protons, which are positive, are going to be positively charged. So when you expose it to a magnetic field, it's going to move always toward the negative side. So a thin piece of paper can stop the alpha part. What is an alpha particle composed of? 2 protons, 2 neutrons. I want you to add something to that. The symbol, there are 2 symbols that we can use for alpha. One of them is 4,2 helium, like that. And the other one is an A that looks more like a fish. That is the Greek letter A for alpha. Now, what is a beta particle? It's another piece of flesh that could come out of Westland when he decays, but it's much, much smaller. It's teeny tiny. Okay, so once again, Westland, piece of flesh, Hui. Westland becoming somebody new. Somebody new. Where can alphas cause great damage? I've already said so. Where? Was it okay for her to handle this little disc? What was not okay for? Yeah, inside your body, it can do a lot of damage. Does this equation balance? Does 4 plus 222 equal 226? Oh, come on. This lecture is interesting. You shouldn't be snoring. Oh, okay. Does this balance? Does 0 plus 234 equal 234? Does 91 minus 1 equal 90? Okay, so what are beta particles? In order to understand beta particles, I need to tell you, remind you or tell you a little bit about a movie that was made in the 90s called Twins, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. Have you seen this movie? It's a funny movie. Okay, let me tell you what happens in the first 5 minutes. You learn that after the war, these scientists got together and they wanted to make the perfect human being. Okay, so they got this woman who was a genius. She was extremely artistic and extremely athletic. So they thought of her as the perfect woman. They could not find the perfect man, so they got an extremely athletic man, an extremely intelligent man, and an extremely artistic man to donate their seed. Okay, so they combined all the DNA together and they fertilized an egg from her and they implanted the egg, and now she was pregnant with what they hoped was going to be the perfect human male. Okay, now to their surprise, when she gave birth, there were 2 babies. This beautiful, beautiful, strong, very bright baby, and this scrawny, ugly baby. They decided they figured out that what they think happened was that all the junk DNA, the DNA that was just crap, all accumulated in one point and became the scrawny baby. And all the good DNA became the good baby. So the ugly baby is shipped off to Chicago and grows up in an orphanage there. The good-looking baby is given a perfect education in a perfect environment in the South Pacific island, and he grows up to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. The ugly baby grows up to be Danny DeVito. So Danny DeVito eventually gets kicked out of the orphanage when he gets a nun pregnant, and he becomes a criminal. Arnold Schwarzenegger becomes this super genius, perfect specimen of a man until he finds out that he has a twin brother. And so he travels to America. I'm not giving it, this is just the first 5 minutes. He decides to go to America to find his twin brother, and then the funniness ensues. Why do I say that? Because in essence, that's what a beta particle is. It's Danny DeVito. What are beta particles? Fast-moving electrons emitted from a nucleus during beta decay. Let me give you the symbols for these, because you'll need to know the symbols. This B, capital B, that is capital B in Greek, with the little hook on it, or 0, -1 E. 0, -1 E. How does it differ from alpha? Much smaller. Can penetrate into your skin a little bit, can actually travel about 10 centimeters. So here is my beta decay. Now, because I actually do care about you, I'm going to stay further than 10 centimeters. Let's see. That's probably about as close as I want to get from you. Okay? If I got closer, then those beta particles would be going into her skin and could increase the chances of getting skin cancer. But that's pretty much it. Yes. Well, yeah, I mean, increasing the chances of me getting skin cancer. But as long as I don't handle it. For example, I had a professor once, we were doing this lab, and this Geiger, we had like a bunch of Geiger counters, and he took this and slipped it into his pocket absentmindedly. And that evening, he's taking his shirt off, and his wife goes, "What's wrong with your chest?" And he goes, "Well, what do you mean, what's wrong with my chest?" He looks down, and there was a perfect circle on his chest where the beta emitter was just sitting there all day long. Okay, is he going to die? No. What can we say? That he has a slightly higher than normal chance of getting skin cancer right there. What did it look like? It looked like a sunburn. Every time you get a sunburn, it's the same effect as this, buddy. Ultraviolet beta rays can go a few centimeters into your skin. The reason why it turns red is because there's so much cellular damage that your body is sending a lot of blood into that area in order to undo the damage. So when you turn red this summer from a sunburn, same as beta. Same as beta. Are you going to die? No. What if you expose yourself to the sun like this constantly? Like these lifeguards? Higher chance. Higher chance. What exactly is going on? Remember I told you that one egg split into Arnold and Danny DeVito, right? Well, a neutron is going to split into a proton and then the crap, which is the beta particle. Some examples of this? Does it all balance out? Does 210 plus 0 make 210? Does 83 minus 1 make 82? Notice what's going on here. Westland, who is lead, is becoming bismuth. Something new. Something new. And this is a beta particle. It's that piece of flesh. You understand my analogy now? It makes sense? It was kind of wacky to begin with, but it makes sense, even to Casey, who's going to refuse to accept it. That's Westland. That's that piece of flesh. And he becomes nickel. It's called radioactive decay or transmutation. You remember alpha particles went toward the negative side. Notice what the beta particles are doing. They're going up toward the positive side. Inside your body, they can do less damage than alpha, but the key thing is they can affect you from outside your body. They can give you skin cancer. How can you protect yourself? Every day you need to wear an aluminum suit. Forget about paper. You can't wear paper. You're going to have to wear an aluminum suit. What is usually given off along with the pieces of flesh? What did we always experience? A bright light, right? That is called gamma radiation. Gamma radiation. That bright light that is always given off is called gamma radiation. And yes, gamma is what caused the Incredible Hulk to become the Incredible Hulk. Of course, that doesn't make any sense at all. All it should have done was kill David Banner and not convert him into a, 8-9 foot tall giant green man. And why green? Was it because gamma begins with G? Why? Seriously? What about Spider-Man? He's not green and he was hit with radiation. Okay, Ninja Turtles, all right. But the turtles were green to begin with. How does gamma compare with alpha and betas? Alpha and betas are chunks of meat. Gamma is that bright light. It's just pure energy. It's just pure energy. See that light coming out? That's gamma. You want to protect yourself from gamma? You're going to need pieces of lead. Gamma is very close to X-rays. So when you're getting your teeth looked at, What do they put on your chest? Yeah, it is a lead blanket. Why? To protect the rest of you from the X-rays. Okay? You do realize that you are getting ionizing radiation going into your mouth, and that increases your chances of getting mouth cancer. They don't tell you this. Okay, but here's the deal. You have a 0.000000000000001% chance of getting mouth cancer by getting X-rays, or you have a 46% chance of getting a cavity by not getting the X-ray. So why do people not even ask you anymore? Because everyone's going to say, well, I'll take the 0.0000000000001%, see if I have a cavity or not. Same thing with chest X-rays. You know, I've got a problem with my ow. I raise my arm to that ow. I'm going to have this shoulder X-ray. Okay, is that going to increase the chances of me getting cancer? Yes. Okay, but I'm tired. Ow! I'm tired of ow. I'm tired of ow. So, ow! I have ow now. I may get cancer 50 or 60 years from now. So what am I going to do? Athletes, yeah, you're going to get the X-ray, aren't you? Okay, so alpha can be stopped by a thin piece of paper. Beta is going to be stopped by a piece of aluminum foil. You want to stop gamma, you're going to have a piece of lead. Yes, because those old refrigerators were lined with lead in order to insulate them. So he survived it. Okay, so what is decay series? Basically, folks, it's Westland's story. From when he first was Westland to all the people he became until finally he became somebody that was like Austin, no longer radioactive. So the story of how an atom goes from being radioactive to not being radioactive anymore is a decay series. The decay series. You got it? Okay, I want you to focus on this story. So uranium becomes thorium, becomes protactinium, becomes uranium again, becomes thorium, becomes radium, becomes radon. Now, what is different about radon? All of these things are solids and will stay in the soil. Radon is a gas. Once it becomes this gas, if given a chance, is going to move through the soil and go into the atmosphere. Your houses are built on soil and rocks that contain uranium. And if it contains uranium, it can also contain radon. If that radon gets into your house, it'll probably stay in your basement because it's a heavy, large atom. You live in your basement like I do, chances are you have, just by walking through a room, you may have stirred up the air and that radon goes up into the air and is breathed in by you. Because it is heavy, it'll probably stay in your lungs until it becomes polonium and lets loose an alpha particle. What is the number one source of lung cancer in America? Smoking cigarettes. Why? Because you're smoking chemicals that have radioactive particles in them. What is the number two cause of lung cancer? Radon. Radon. So if you live in an old house or even a new house that's a little older, might be a good idea to have your basement tested for radon. For radon.